What is up, people? It's Dedrian Colon, House of Wrestling, and this is my Battle of the Belts and Hard to Kill review. It has been a very long night of professional wrestling, very good night. Depending on who you are, some people may not care too much for how Battle of the Belts played out, but it was a really entertaining night. But man, Hard to Kill, Impact Wrestling, they did a really good job. There was a surprise in there, but I'll get into it. But man, it was a fun night. It was a fun night. Um, if you can't go outside because in some parts of the country it's bitterly cold, there's ice conditions, snowstorms, and stuff like that. So if you were again inside on a Saturday night, you were a wrestling fan, you had something to occupy your time and just enjoy and everything, as I did. So, getting into it, man, the Battle of the Belts pay per view, not pay per view, excuse me, 1 hour special. It was pretty cool, of course. Leading into it, it was supposed to be Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara, but because of medical reasons, Cody Rhodes could not be at Battle of the Belts, which was live. Sammy Guevara took on Dustin Rhodes. That was a pretty dope match. Dustin Rhodes, at 52 years old, did a Canadian destroyer from the apron onto a table on the outside. I don't know how this guy is defying age and everything. He's taking care of himself, and he is good. He's actually better than what he was 10, 12 years ago. Guys doing banger matches and everything, but man, it was a really cool match. Of course, Sammy Guevara, he wins, and then after the match, someone who was sitting at ringside, Daniel Garcia. So they were planting the seeds that Daniel Garcia and 2.0 have something with the inner circle, which they don't. They just have something against Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston, who, if you look at how they're dressed and their attire, they're more LAX than the inner circle, which me and so many other people wish AEW would move on from because it's passe right now and it's just not. It's time to move on. So you get this confrontation between Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, which was pretty cool because you're like, ooh, I didn't see this one coming. These are all young. It's like, oh man, these are young guys. Ooh, this is gonna be fun. So if this leads to a three-way or something like that, or Sammy and Daniel Garcia face each other, and the winner takes on Cody when he comes back, because technically AEW has two TNT champions, almost like Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. So we'll see where this goes. Then afterwards, another match that was really cool, really good, and it was fun, especially for a Saturday night. The crowd was it was live. The crowd were good. It wasn't like, oh, I'm bored. No, it was actually a really cool crowd to watch. Me personally, I was doing double watching because I had the Battle of the Belts on my TV and I was watching Hardcore Justice on my iPad. So I'm looking back and forth. And any wrestling fan who's done that, and any wrestling fan who does wrestling content create and stuff like that, when two events are doing really well, when you're going like this. When you're just focusing on one and just and go like that, it's like, okay, one event's better than the other, but this one is back and forth. It was really cool. But yeah, this match between Ricky Starks and Matt Heidel, really solid match. It was good to see Ricky Starks get showcased and everything. Dude's talented. I personally loved him when he was in the NWA, and he was the TV champion and everything. I was like, man, AEW needs a guy like that, and sure enough, AEW gets him. So you have that match. It was a great match and everything. So Ricky Starks wins. Then, was it Ricky Starks or Matt? Forgive me, it's been a long time. After the match, I'll get to that, which was really good. After the match, you had Hobbs and Ricky Starks just beat down Matt Heidel and everything. And then, out of nowhere, another young guy that they signed, Lee Moriarty, comes in for the save. And he's hitting up Hobbs and everything. Hobbs takes care of him. And then Dante Martin comes. And Dante Martin and Hobbs have this face-off. Of course, they are going to be fighting next week on Dynamite and everything. And you just have this cool stare down. So mind you, this is already 2 instances where you have 4 young guys in AEW getting the spotlight, which is really cool. So you have this face-off, and they're just going back and forth, and Dante drop kicks him, and they have that stare down, and the announcers are promoting the next week's Dynamite, that matchup, Hobbs and Dante Martin. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, the main event. These women did an amazing job, and what's also cool, I'm going to get into it later, is that this is somewhat the first night where 2 wrestling promotions aired TV programs at the same time, and both programs had women main event. That's cool. That's really cool. And let me tell you, all 4 women that main evented can go. But yeah, Britt Baker, Rio, that was a phenomenal match. Britt Baker and Rio have such great chemistry. Rio, it's unfortunate how some people on the internet and social media just trash her, like, oh, she's that. She is a very compelling wrestler. She sells her ass off, and it is very entertaining to watch her. Of course, her style is more Joshi style, which, isn't familiar if you don't keep up with it or you're hardcore. It's somewhat, oh man, I'm new to this. But man, she does a terrific job in the ring. She gets the other opponent over. And this match between Britt Baker and herself, the near falls were outstanding. I mean, it was just like, oh man, is she going to really... That's when you know it's a good match, when once you get halfway through the match and you start thinking like, man, is she actually going to beat Britt? Are they going to put the title on her? Like, once you start thinking, I was like, ooh, man, this is a really good match. And, it was close so many times, so many near falls, and unfortunately, no, Britt Baker puts her, and her submission hold, got the glove, Real taps. That is it. You get this weird interaction. You can tell that they're teasing a Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker split. Me personally, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually, the way it looks. People are like, oh, it's going to be Jamie Hayter turning on Rebel and Britt Baker. I actually think it's going to be the opposite. I think it's going to be Jamie Hayter and Rebel turn on Britt Baker and make her a face. We see where that goes. But yeah, overall, Battle of the Belts was really good. And mind you, at this time, if you're watching Impact Wrestling while all of Battle of the Belts was going on, Hard to Kill, man, I want to say this was probably the best Impact pay-per-view since, I want to say when Omega faced Rich Swann for the titles, when it was title for title. That was a pretty good pay-per-view. But no, this was a really good pay-per-view. Hard to Kill, Impact Wrestling. Kudos to them. Scott D'Amore, you guys did an awesome job tonight. They opened with the Ultimate X women's match. This is the first women's match for the Ultimate X match. Me personally, there's a few moments I kind of got, concerned for the women, because that thing's pretty high, and it was just like, ooh, I hope, you fear, accidents, and of course, we've seen, what happened on Wednesday with Rey Fenix, and you're just like, man, I don't want any of these women getting hurt, like, badly, broken leg or anything, like, whew, man, just, whew, please, we've already had enough injuries. We don't want to see any more injuries. But no, this was a great match. Shout out to Lady Frost, Jordan Grace, Tasha Steele, Alicia. I'm forgetting someone else. Let me look at my notes. Chelsea Green. There you go. No, it was a great opening match. Those they set the tone for the rest of the pay-per-view, which that's a common theme in Impact Wrestling if you have been watching. And of course, there's people, oh, Impact should do this because, the whole WWE mentioned everything, oh, Impact and AEW, and this is like, no, if you've been watching Impact Wrestling, you know that their women's division has been more stronger than their men's division. It's just depth. But yeah, man, it was a good pay-per-view. But after that, the match that I recommend any of you guys who are watching this to see, if you didn't see this pay-per-view, I recommend you watch Jonathan Gresham, the Ring of Honor World Champion, versus Chris Sabin. This was a clinic. This was a clinic. This match, it's cool that Chris Sabin was in the match because this reminded me of when Chris Sabin first entered, when it was TNA Impact, or TNA, when he had those classic matches with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Petey Williams. Like, it had that feel to it. And kudos to Impact Wrestling for the lighting. If you follow me on Twitter, I mention all the time, like, man, when you watch their product, their backstage, it's just, everything's just too gloomy. Like, it needs to be brighter. The lighting was phenomenal during this whole pay-per-view. But yeah, this match, I recommend you guys see it. For me personally, it was one of 3 matches of the night. I know the Trae Young, Steve Macklin match was even phenomenal, but man, this match was a clinic. Jonathan Gresham is the best wrestler in the world. I know many of you, Bryan Danielson. It's close. I wouldn't say you could put them 1A, 1B. They're just there. Those 2 guys are the best wrestlers in the world. Jonathan Gresham is the best wrestler in the world, and I look forward to whatever dream matches he actually has this year, because those are going to be classics, and that man is going to have a match of the year this year. He is going to have a match of the year. He's going to be that guy. He's going to get his, as we say, his flowers. We're going to give him his flowers, because he's gonna have a match that's going to be, that dude can wrestle. But yeah, that match was great. During that match, you had Ian Riccaboni and Bobby Cruz from Ring of Honor announced. That was really cool. And shout out to formerly known as Tom Phillips. He's now Tom Hannafin. He did a fantastic job. Him on the announced team is a great addition. He set the tone. Him and D'Lo Brown are perfect. His it was so smooth. It was for some reason, it was so easy to get into the match or matches in the whole pay-per-view, and it was just so good. Kudos to AEW, Impact Wrestling, for signing him. I look forward to future Impact Wrestling shows with him being the announcer, with a few tweaks or something like that. Impact Wrestling they could do some things. Fingers crossed. But yeah, you had that match. And then after that, you had the Hardcore War match, which was Heath Slater, Rhino, Willie Mack, Rich Swann, and Eddie Edwards versus Violent by Design and the Good Brothers. It was basically a Royal Rumble / War Games match with no cage. That's what it basically was. Me personally, I tweeted this. I wish they would have put that match before the Jonathan Gresham, Chris Sabin match, because with them putting it afterwards, granted, what happened after the match, like, oh man, it was cool, but it would have added more. I don't know. It for me personally, it took the shine off of Jonathan Gresham's great match. Maybe it's because I'm great. I love Jonathan Gresham's matches. But yeah, so they had this match, VBD. It's just mayhem and everything. So after the match is over, And no, I'm not going to tell you who won because it's just been a long night. Um, so after the match, you got Willie Mack and, Eddie Edwards and everything. And then out of nowhere, you see the old GK from Ring of Honor, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett. They start attacking. And then, guys get their, Willie Mack and those guys get their comeback and everything. And then out of nowhere, you see this person with braids, the Righteous' own Vincent. He comes in. So he's doing this thing. Then out of nowhere, you see PCO come in. He's doing this thing. He does a few spots and everything. Maria Kanellis comes out, and they don't say it on commentary. They kind of mention it. D'Lo does kind of mention it. Is this a Ring of Honor invasion? So if this is a storyline that's going to be played out on Impact Wrestling Television, this is a smart move. One, because eventually you're going to have New Japan Pro Wrestling being aired on AXS TV. Thank God they're back on there. So this is really cool with Impact Wrestling. I just wish that the whole AEW Impact thing would have been done a little bit better. But of course, as I mentioned on Twitter, you have one company that tapes their main show live. You have another company that tapes, 2-3 weeks of TV programming in 1 week. So it throws everything off. So hopefully, eventually, AEW and Impact gets, a partnership back in some capacity this year. But man, I loved it. I was like, ooh, this is good. Oh, I like this. This is fun. Then of course, Moose, he retains. I don't know. That was a weird championship match. He wins. There was a couple ref bumps towards the end. He almost hit Chelsea Green. Doesn't. I don't know. It was like they did too much. Me personally, I kind of wish they would have went and put the world title on Matt Cardona because he has so much buzz outside of Impact Wrestling. He's appeared on NWA television. I don't know. Sometimes Impact Wrestling misses the boat with, like, if you have that buzz, man, put it on the person and just ride it. They're like, oh, we gotta wait, and sometimes you can't wait, especially in wrestling. You can't wait too long because then you missed your opportunity. Perfect example is DDP back in WCW. He was he was white hot in '97, and they never put the title on him until 1999. And by that time, he was a top guy, but he didn't have that buzz, and it was too late. It was too late. You put the title on, but it just didn't feel the same. But man, if they would have put the title in '97 when he was hot, would have been perfect. And hopefully that doesn't happen in Impact Wrestling. But hey, it was a they need to put the title on that dude, man. They need that fire. He's got it. He's done the stuff with Nick Gage, NWA, and all the other stuff he's doing with Effie. Like, he's got buzz. Like, you need to put the title on that person. And last but not least, the main event, Mickie James, the Impact Knockouts champion, versus Deonna Purrazzo, the Lucha Libre Women's Champion. This was a match. This was a match. I enjoyed it. I love the chemistry between Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James. There is such great chemistry and a fluidity to their matches and their storytelling. They don't overdo it, but they don't overdo it, but they don't leave you underwhelmed. It's a nice balance. And especially when you're in the main event, you got the buzz that Mickie James has right now. And, what Deonna Purrazzo's been doing with Lucha Libre and NWA and stuff like that, it was perfect. I recommend you guys watch that match. It was so good. Of course, the hype surrounding the match was, is Mickie James going to go to the Royal Rumble as the Impact Knockouts champion, or is she going to go Mickie James Nostalgia Act? And for a moment there, I was like, ooh, I don't think she's going to go to Royal Rumble with the championship. And lo and behold, she overcame it. I loved this match. I loved it. It was cool. It was fun. These women, they laid in some licks. They got some weapons, thumbtacks, everything. Me describing it doesn't do justice. Hopefully, you guys can watch it back, order it, whatever way you could see it. It was a really good match. And so yeah, Mickie James wins. She is still the Impact Knockouts champion. At ringside was Roxy, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. So, with all these Ring of Honor mentions on Impact Wrestling, so thankfully there's some partnership between Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. I don't know. It just feels like AEW, in some way, they've like alienated themselves because they have such a bloated roster that they're like into their own world, which kind of takes away from why people love the whole partnership between them and Impact. It's like, ooh, okay, they're different. Yeah, it's it just doesn't feel the same. And the one thing that concerns me watching this pay-per-view is AEW isn't WWE light, but the way you present certain aspects of your wrestlers and your matches and your storytelling, I can see why it comes across like WWE light. I'm a huge AEW fan and a huge wrestling fan. I love aspects of WWE, all professional wrestling, but the way AEW has been before and just the way they've been lately, it's like, man, keep it simple. You got something. Keep it good. But yeah, man, these two events, again, if you were stuck at home because of the inclement cold, freezing weather, as is where I'm at in Chicago, and you just stayed home, this was the perfect night for these events. I recommend you watch both these events back. They were good. I'm not going to say one was better than the other. One was a live TV special. The other was a pay-per-view. So you really can't compare the two. And of course, one was for all the belts. The other one was a pay-per-view with a lot of hype. And so it's really not comparable. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun night. Shout out to Britt Baker, Rio, Mickie James, and Deonna Perazza. Those four women were the main event on both shows. And hey, you gotta give them their flowers and give them their due. Those women are doing great things, and of course, with both women's divisions, in Impact and AEW, of course, it's going to be even deeper with all the free agents that are out. We'll see in the next month and the month after. That's when a lot of those free agents that happen, I believe, in September, November, October, will be free and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a good night, great night in wrestling. Shout out to Impact Wrestling. That was a great pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was an escape from whatever you may have been going through or what have you. It was a great escape pay-per-view, that's good wrestling. You can escape whatever you're going through in real life. Remember that. So yeah, this is my review of AEW's Battle of the Belts TV special and Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view. I'm Dedrian Colon. This is House of Wrestling. Like, share, comment, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Thank you guys. We reached 100 subscribers. We're going strong for even more. Hey, I love it. So again, like, share, comment, follow us on all social media platforms. I'm Dedrian Colon. This is House of Wrestling, and this is my review for AEW's Battle of the Belts and Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill. Peace out.